Everyone online talks about how easy it is to buy real estate. Just find a house, get a mortgage, borrow money from a relative or a zero-interest credit card. Here you are, ready to retire with passive income, living in your dream home.
If my mom had balls, she would be my dad.
Right. Those armchair experts and online gurus, they just want to sell you a course. $7 or $1,500, guaranteed results, doesn't matter. They aren't there to help you find an investment property or a home. Here's the deal. It is not that easy. There are 1,000 mistakes you can make, especially if you're a first-time home buyer. One misplaced signature and suddenly you're the owner of an asset that will never be worth more than your original loan amount. Even with appreciation. Remember the housing crash in 2008? That didn't happen because loan officers were the best in the business. In fact, most of the lenders I knew back then didn't have any experience in the industry at all. Yep, their first job straight out of college.
Ninja loans. No income, no job.
The fact that every other person was a real estate agent didn't help either. They were pushing people into second, third, and even fourth homes, financed with adjustable rate mortgages. What could go wrong? When the dust settled, the banks got bailed out. Those realtors and loan officers kept their commissions, not their jobs, and the consumers...
And who gives a shit?
Well, most of them carried the load or filed for bankruptcy. Today, we're answering these questions. Who is actually on your side? And how do you find the professionals your entire purchase depends on? Hi, I'm Felix. I've been in real estate for over 20 years. I was there during the crash. I've dealt with the good, the bad, and how do you even have a licensed realtor?
My brain is far too advanced.
So let's talk about what an ideal real estate team actually looks like. When it comes to purchasing real estate, that is absolutely something you want to have on your side. Let's dive in. First, you need to start with your own needs. Before you hire anyone, decide clearly. What kind of property do you want? Which area? What is the goal? Is it investment or residency? I know, it sounds basic, but you'd be surprised how many people meet a professional before they even know what they want. Maybe you don't need to buy at all. Maybe renting is your best option right now. But once you decide to buy, you need a real estate agent. Now, I've got nothing against people putting their faces on bus stops with about 10 filters on their headshot. You don't hate the hustle. But the honest truth, a really good realtor is rare. I mean, very rare. Because there is an infinite amount of bad ones out there. Come on! Some are still spending thousands on phone book ads or bus stop benches.
Call 505-503-4455 today.
It's quite hard to trust a person to handle a modern transaction or negotiate your money if they're still stuck in 1995 with their genius marketing strategies. And no, your Aunt Sally or Uncle Bob who got a license just to save your money buying your cousin's house, they aren't a solution either. You need a professional, someone with real answers, industry knowledge, and connections. Lots of them. Buying a house is your chance to be the boss. You are hiring them, search online, ask around, meet them in person. Ask a lot of questions and listen to their reasoning, the way they talk, the way they know the area, and obviously the way they behave with you. Do not go just with the first one you like. They will all brag about how many units they sold last year. That doesn't matter to you. Here's the secret. Find someone you can politely argue with.
Fucking seriously looking at fair value. You said you would mark credit loss event.
Because sooner or later, things will get tense. If you can't be real with your agent when the pressure is on, it will cost you time or money. For many, buying property is once in a lifetime deal. For the lucky ones, buying and selling again, find a really good realtor once covers you for the entire life. I've been in this for 20 years and I only have 2 people I go to. Both of them know who they are. My regards. Need a deal out of state? They also help to find the agent there. Anything property related? They are my go-to people. Always. Don't forget, agents aren't just there for the transaction. They are your connectors. A good realtor knows exactly what to bring to the table so the money side doesn't fall apart. They don't want to waste their own time either. Which brings us to the other professional. Hopefully. The loan officer. Basically, this is the person getting you the funds for the property of your dreams. A regular loan officer just gets you the money. An exceptional one looks at your goals and finances and tells you if you can actually afford that property. And this is a sensitive topic.
You smell that? What is that? I smell money.
You need a loan officer you can trust with your future, not just paperwork. Sure, you can refinance later, but that costs money. And guess who is going to be paying for it? A good loan officer will make sure you don't buy a house that leaves eating you ramen noodles for the next 30 years.
Emotional damage.
They will find the best rates so you don't blow an extra 50 grand for no reason. Now, let's talk about title company. These are the folks usually hiding in the back with the mountain of paperwork. Most people think title companies just grab a fee for stamping things. Actually, they are the recorders. Their job is to certify the deal and investigate the history of the property to make sure what you're getting a loan for is really what was put in the contract and will be recorded properly. You don't want to share an ownership of a property with a long-lost cousin from 1974 who claims they own 50% of the backyard of the property. And the title company should prevent that. But you still have to be careful. It actually happened to me once. A title officer made a massive mistake in the filing. Instead of listing me as the sole owner of the property, it was recorded to two completely different entities. That was a cash deal. It was a brand new realtor, so naturally he didn't care to check the recording or any of the documents at all. Talking about unqualified professionals. Bruh. I was lucky to catch the mistake before it was filed with the county, but it did cost me a few gray hairs back when I actually had hair. Needless to say, I never worked with that realtor again. By the way, need a reference on who not to hire in San Diego area? Reach out. I'll let you know. Now let's talk about the home inspector. When I bought my first property, the real estate agent practically forced us to use their home inspector. Usually this is a guy who shows up with a flashlight, looks around, and writes a generic report. It can be valuable if you use it to negotiate the price down, but remember, inspectors are generally not financially responsible for what they miss. If they miss a major issue, they just say, oops, and you're stuck with the bill. Sometimes general inspection is necessary, but in some cases you're better off bringing in specific professional yourself. Check the appliances, check the structure. If you have doubts, call a specialist, an electrician, a plumber, a roofer to give you real evaluation. Whatever is found, your realtor needs to communicate it to the sellers to either fix it or pay before you sign the papers. And last up, the appraiser. The bank sends them to make sure they aren't losing cash. You and the seller might agree the house worth $600,000 because it has a great vibe. The appraiser looks at the data and says,
actually, it's worth $540,000.
it is annoying when it kills the deal, sure, but they stop you from overpaying for something that isn't worth it. Just remember, the appraiser is there to protect the bank's interest, not yours. But luckily, that also usually helps you to avoid too much risk. Guys, real estate is a team sport. It is expensive, it is confusing and quite serious business. But when you have the right people, the ones who actually do their jobs, this makes a huge difference. So take your time, find your team, don't just pick the first face on the billboard, especially the one that you sat on. Look for the ones who know how to actually do the job. It is your life, your money, your choices. As always, be careful with what you sign. Stay away from unprofessional people, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.